Iran has stated that only China will be permitted to transit the Strait of Hormuz, describing the move as a gesture of appreciation for Beijing's support of Tehran during the war. Interestingly enough, China's done nothing to support its ally Iran in this confrontation, except write, sternly worded letters. There's been no material support from China. Iran says all other vessels are barred from passage, and Iranian authorities have warned that any unauthorized attempt to cross will be directly engaged by its forces, presumably by drone attack. This was a funny post. This is a full list. This is from last year. This is a full list of all the Iranian Navy's ships, he writes. It's also, coincidentally, the full list of ships that will be at the bottom of the sea 48 hours after the Strait of Hormuz is closed. Israel dismantled all of Iran's air defense and air force in a week. Do they even have a plan to defend their navy? And then just yesterday, he followed up on that year-old post by noting, exactly as predicted, it's now confirmed that 48 hours after Iran tried to close the Strait of Hormuz, as they've threatened to do for decades, the entire Iranian Navy is at the bottom of the sea. And here's the Trump announcement. Effective immediately, I've ordered the United States Development Finance Corporation to provide, at a very reasonable price, political risk insurance and guarantees for the financial security of all maritime trade, especially energy, oil, liquefied natural gas, traveling through the Gulf. This will be available to all shipping lines. If necessary, the U.S. Navy will begin escorting tankers through the Strait of Hormuz as soon as possible. No matter what, the U.S. will ensure the free flow of energy to the world. The U.S. economic and military might is the greatest on earth. More actions to come. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So this is the replacement maritime insurance that would be backed by the U.S. and by the U.S. Navy, because the way the strait is being shut down is not really through Iran's military forces. The threat is the military forces, but the result is that the existing maritime insurance companies pulled all the insurance from ships that want to go through the strait. So they can't go through. They have no insurance to cover them. That's what Trump is looking to replace. And as I mentioned at the start, this is also a punch in the face to the UK, because most of the world's maritime insurance is run out of London. Now, the U.S. is entering that market as a competitor with the most powerful navy on the face of the earth. No insurance company can match that. Matt Forney, who's a good follow on X, writes, Iranians say, filthy American infidels, we will blockade the Strait of Hormuz with our canoes and their little boats. Checkmate, great Satan. And Trump's response, LOL, no, we're going to fix this insurance issue. My buddy Mark Randazza says, gotta admit it, I like this move. The UK doesn't want to help us out. They denied us use of their bases in the area. Lloyd's of London gets nuked. Would you rather buy maritime insurance from a bunch of crumpet-eating Nancys in London, or buy insurance from someone who backs up that insurance with the biggest navy in the world? Yeah, I think that's the right take. Steve Kojak writes, this is a ballsy power play by Trump. Lloyd's of London was the gold standard for maritime insurance policies until just a day or two ago, when they started canceling policies or jacking them up 3 to 5-fold. Other insurance followed their lead. That collapsed commercial shipping through Hormuz, which choked oil shipments out of the Middle East. Trump doing this, and by the way, this whole Strait of Hormuz being choked out, America doesn't get that much cargo or energy through the Strait of Hormuz, and we have alternatives. So this is not that damaging to America. But to many other countries, it's extremely damaging. It's life-threatening to their economies. So to the extent that America is offering to fix this problem, that's going to attract the support of a lot of other nations. Back to Steve, he writes, Trump doing this means the DFC has the chance to displace, that would be the American insurance alternative, has a chance to displace Lloyd's as the big dog in this game, when Lloyd's has been the lock-in player for many years, for many decades. It also frees up all the oil that was getting trapped north of the Strait of Hormuz, heading off shortages and keeping the energy market alive. And why not? It's the American Navy that sunk the Iranian ships that were harassing tankers, and the American Navy, at least for now, will keep those tankers safe. It's a huge reassurance to allies, both oil producers and oil consumers, that our campaign in Iran isn't going to sink their economies, and it allows America to be choosy about traffic in the Strait, right? Iran tried to say only China can go through. The U.S. can say, not so much China. Everybody else is good. It also potentially means billions of dollars in insurance premiums at wartime rates going to America instead of going to the UK. And those rates are still going to be cheaper than what shippers were getting from Lloyd's of London. It's another funny take. Start bombing the hell out of Iran, with one of your primary focuses being destruction of their navy. Wait for Lloyd's to panic and get out of the maritime insurance game in that area. They're canceling policies. Swoop in as the new insurer for oil going to China. This strategy is so delightfully like what the Chinese dictators would do, turning their methods against them. A little more on this insurance proposal from Trump, a really good one. Sal Mercogliano says, here's an idea. Offer this to ships only in the U.S. registry. You have to be an American flagged ship. And you would rebuild the U.S. Merchant Marine with the backing of the U.S. Navy and Treasury. And you'd be making billions of dollars doing it. That's exactly what should happen. That's exactly how it should be done. John Conrad, again, a maritime sailor, a great expert. You should definitely follow him on X for any maritime matters. He writes, this is potentially the biggest Iran story nobody is talking about. The global insurance market may be heading towards a systemic crisis. Here's why. Most people don't realize London isn't just a financial center, it's the center of global insurance. Lloyd's of London underwrites 40% of the world's marine cargo. Ship sinks, port gets bombed, canal gets blocked, the bill lands in London. This is why the UK punches above its weight, not the Royal Navy, not diplomacy, insurance. Control insurance and you control trade. And London doesn't just control the 90% of global trade that moves by sea. Lloyd's and the London market are major insurers of almost everything. Skyscrapers, factories, ports, satellites, entire supply chains. You can't participate in public markets or raise large amounts of capital without insurance. Now, the normal playbook for war risk is repricing, not cancellation. Canceling coverage entirely is a massive escalation in insurance underwriting posture. It signals something beyond risk. It signals uncertainty so deep the underwriter can't even price it. The question everyone should be asking is why? Why not just jack up premiums and make a fortune off the crisis like they did in the Black Sea, off Ukraine? To answer that, you have to understand why London has maintained a stranglehold on global insurance while losing nearly every submarket related to ships. The answer is better intelligence. It's no coincidence that MI6 headquarters sits directly across the Thames River from the IMO headquarters, the world's maritime regulator, and a short distance from Lloyd's of London itself. John writes, I have no proof of a direct pipeline, but it's long been speculated in the industry that intelligence flows from British military intelligence to Lloyd's of London, the insurance company. Having the best intel in the world would be the single greatest competitive advantage any insurer could possess. The ability to price risk that competitors can only guess at. Here's the problem. The majority of MI6's intel doesn't come from its own agents. It comes from Five Eyes, the alliance, the intelligence alliance comprising the US, UK, Australia, Canada, and New Zealand. And within Five Eyes, the dominant partner is obvious. It's, of course, America. The CIA, National Security Agency, NRO, etc., generate the lion's share of intel. So if Lloyd's pricing advantage flows from MI6 and MI6's best intelligence flows from the US, what happens when that intelligence pipeline gets throttled? All indications are that Keir Starmer was blindsided by the size and scope of the US-Israel attacks on Iran this weekend. That alone tells you something about the current state of transatlantic intelligence sharing. And we know there has been serious anger in Washington over the UK's decision to sell Diego Garcia, home to America's most strategically important base in the Indian Ocean. I think I have a map of that I plan to share. Let me pull that up. If you're not familiar with where it is, a simple map makes pretty clear. Can you see that? Yeah, Diego Garcia. So it's right off the corner of India, just south of the Middle East, off the coast of Africa. It's a very important base for America. It's been shared between the UK and the US, but it's an island that for some reason Britain has promised to give back to the indigenous peoples of the area, potentially costing America that base. And I can assure you, there are no circumstances in which a Trump administration will allow its access to Diego Garcia to be eliminated. Not going to happen under any circumstances. Back to this. And we know there's been serious anger in Washington over the UK's decision to sell Diego Garcia, home to America's most strategically important base in the Indian Ocean, sell it back to the indigenous peoples, Mauritius. It's not a huge leap, John writes, to conclude that the submarine cables linking Langley, the CIA, to London have gone dark, or at minimum have been significantly throttled. What this means for UK national security is a question for the British, but what it means for every company globally that's insured through the London market has massive implications for the entire financial system, because most large insurers worldwide don't do independent intelligence work. They index off of Lloyd of London's insurance rates. If you're insuring a skyscraper in Tokyo, a semiconductor fab in Taiwan, or a port in Argentina, you get a Lloyd's quote, then you shop that price around. Other insurers see Lloyd's number and assume the diligence was done. They price accordingly. This means if London is suddenly flying blind because it doesn't have access to American intelligence anymore, it's not just Lloyd's policyholders at risk. It's the entire global reinsurance chain. The cancellation of war risk coverage on ships isn't the crisis. It's the canary in the coal mine, because it's being canceled because they can't price it because they don't have American intelligence. If this hypothesis is correct, we could be looking at a systemic repricing event across global insurance markets, the kind of cascading uncertainty that defined the 2008 financial crisis and COVID. Watch Lloyd's, watch reinsurance spreads, watch Five Eyes. That's where this story and possibly Wall Street breaks. And another John Conrad meme, Marco Rubio, after they tell him he's in charge of the London ship insurance market now. And then he posted that March 2nd. And then Trump made his announcement about forming an American-backed maritime insurance fund the next day. So he notes, I'm having a type of day where my memes are becoming reality in less than 24 hours. He's also an advocate of rebuilding the merchant marine. He talks about that quite a lot, that America needs a rebuilt merchant marine. He writes, this is the best opportunity since the 1980s to get ships to register under the U.S. flag, which is something our military desperately needs. The bad news is that while all this is happening, the U.S. Coast Guard Ship Registry Office is closed because the Democrats hate DHS and have the government shut down. Maybe they should move that office over to the Department of War, which, of course, remains open, obviously.